everyone, welcome back to a new episode of Sit Fearlessly. Woo woo! I am missing my co-host today, my sister Gigi. She couldn't make it, but she definitely is here in spirit. So sending her so much love. And I'm so excited. We have such a great interview today. It's somebody that I've been wanting to interview for a while, so I'm so grateful that he is here today.
Thank you. That means a lot.
So without further ado, we have Mr. Vega in the building. Woo!
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. This is not exciting.
Yes. Also, I want to shout out to our graphic artist who made this incredible new logo that we have. And y'all about to see the other one that he made. So shout out to him because I love it. It's super dope. Yes. So how you been, Vega? You staying
I've been good.
Chilly? Because it's warm outside.
See, I'm one of those people who really likes the heat. So like the last couple of days have been pretty chill for me. You know what I'm saying? Like even my grandmother stays with me in the summer when she comes from DR.
Yeah.
So even she's popped in, like she comes and knocks on my door open. She's like, you don't got the AC on? I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like the fans on, it's a vibe. Like I don't ever want to be in the cold, bro. Like,
exactly. You know what's crazy? I feel the same exact way. I'm like, finally, it's warm. Like we only have 2 months of it. Like give me all the heat. Yep. I was very brave yesterday and took a bike ride.
Oh, yeah, I would.
But I literally,
I wouldn't do that.
I literally feel like I had a little bit of heat exhaustion because when I got home, I was like, oh my God, like I just wanted to drop and lay on my bed. Yesterday was incredibly hot, but I love it.
That's my favorite part about the heat. As soon as you go outside, like it takes
it's like, whoosh.
Everything. When you get home, you're just like, I could sleep now.
Yes, I love it. So kudos to us because we're enjoying it.
Absolutely. Did a little photo shoot yesterday out on the trains, so that was fun.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Well, we're going to get into all that creative stuff that you work on. Yes. So let's start with, I know your work is known for its emotional depth and authenticity.
That's what I like to hear.
Yes. How has your Dominican American and multicultural upbringing influenced the way you tell your stories?
It's crazy that that's the question after the wild conversation that was happening on social media today. But yeah, like I come from parents who, like my mother migrated here when she was 12 years old, right? Like, so for me, the biggest part of telling stories has always just been exploring the different perspectives of different people, right? Like we're all kind of experiencing this same life. Like we all do the same, you go to work, you drive, like we all do the same things. What makes it unique is how we engage and how we experience that thing that's happening, right?
Absolutely.
Like, so that's this part that I really focus on, especially from the perspective of every story doesn't have to be the hood stuff, like the hood dramas, the gangster stories. Like, yes, those are real parts of our lives as impoverished people, but like, so is going to school, right? So is like having to go to therapy. So is having a basketball game. Like, so are the little things in life that I think we can really shine a light on. So that was the big focus of my first film, The Her We Share, was like, yeah, there's gangsters, yeah, all this stuff is happening, but like, what about the guy who works in a marketing office and is having a mental breakdown because he feels like everything in his life is falling apart?
Exactly.
Like that also exists, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where I try to gear my attention. The last few films, Nico was also like that. It was a story around like, yeah, none of us really like cops, right? But like every now and then a cop gets stuck in a job that we kind of all would feel for him if we were a little bit more understanding of a cop's position, you know? So that's kind of the
That's
big
pretty
dive.
awesome. I love that. So what is your like stance on, and we don't have to get too political, but you
I'm
know,
all for positive. Let's set this place ablaze.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Because I also come from an immigrant background as well. So my mom is actually Puerto Rican, so she was born a U.S. citizen because, you know, we're a part of the states in America.
Steal the island.
Correct. They stole our island. That is correct. But my father is from the Dominican Republic, and he came here, you know, as an immigrant, very, very long ago. But I just feel so much empathy for everything that's going on right now and how our current president is treating, you know, the immigrants that have been living here in this country for such a long time, and how this country was built on the backs of immigrants, you know, and things like that, and how he's pushing them out, you know, and starting in LA and all that craziness that went on. So like, what is your stance on that?
So that's why I was like, damn, it's funny that was the exact conversation this morning, because, you know, a lot of people, I think there's a lot of, I don't want to use the word misinformation because it sounds mad cliche, but there's a lot of people who aren't fully educated on the experience that is the immigration process, right? Like there's this instant idea of like, yes, I get it. You know, you put a lock on your door, somebody breaks into your house, like you're not gonna make space for them in your house all of a sudden, and that's basically immigration, right? But in America, we have a very convoluted system that it takes a while for people to get their approval even after they've already started the process, right? And that's why I'm so empathetic to this whole story and everything that's happening, because if this was happening while I was in high school, my mom would be at risk getting deported, right? Because like I said at the beginning, she got here when she was 12, legally, right? But she didn't get her official citizenship until I was in sophomore year of high school.
Wow.
Fam, I'm 33.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
You know what I mean? So for that entire length of time that she was here, doing things legally, working green card, visa, whatever, like all the different paperwork routes, she wasn't a citizen.
Wow.
So at any point in a day, she could have been swept up, especially with the way that raids are going right now. So I'm very empathetic to anybody going through that perspective, because my mom wasn't a criminal. My mom wasn't a gang member. She wasn't out here illegally trafficking. She worked at a bank. And then she got her degree. Like there's so many things that if it's not understood properly for a lot of people, you're always going to see it as just like the bad guys, the villains, the crooks, especially when we tell those stories. If we get into the real depth of it, the unspoken truth that most people don't want to accept, when you look it up and look at the data, even when you take immigrants into account, we still don't make up the majority of the crime in this country.
That is correct. 100%.
It's just not it.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and I think, not to say too much on it, I think I also have an issue with the fact that it's only certain types of immigrant cultures that are being targeted.
Yeah, like nobody's going after Canadian immigrants, Israeli immigrants, Italian immigrants. Like, it sucks to say it because all my white friends know I love them, but like, it's an attack on anybody who's not white. Yeah. And, we got to address that.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that, because it really, really definitely affected me when I was watching that. Yeah, very deeply.
And it affects us every day, like every aspect of it. I'm very into politics unfortunately, as a form of entertainment. Like it is something that I just enjoy watching and hearing the stories about internationally. Like I watch everything, right? Yeah. And there's just a lot of stuff that it's like, people don't have the time in their regular day to even start thinking about some of these things. So they are trusting the people who spend their lives doing it. And unfortunately, the people who spend their lives doing it, this is how they live. This is how they make money. They got to keep chaos going in order to keep their job.
Like, yep. Did you vote early?
Of course.
Oh, good.
Come on, Mom Donnie, we working.
Let's go. Yes. I love it. And shout out to, everybody that's been running as well, because we do have some other candidates, who are putting in the effort and the work. We had Dr. Selma Bartholomew, so I just wanted to give her a shout out because she definitely has been out here, pushing her agenda. And so shout out to everyone who's in the running as well. But yes, we got that win. So back to your films. I love everything that you're doing with talking about the healing, the emotional trauma that we go through on a day-to-day basis, regardless of what background we are. Like you said, just walk into school, just go into a basketball game. Do you share these films at schools as well? Because I think that our youth needs to see things like this too, so they can connect and they can see that there are others who understand what they're going through and what they're feeling.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, like my biggest focus is for people to watch the movies. Like anything beyond that, I don't really care about. Like I made the movie so we could watch it. I wanted to watch it. That's why I made it, right? So anywhere that they'll accept it, anywhere that people will play it. Right now it's streaming, like all of my movies are streaming on Tubi, Amazon Prime, a couple different other platforms like Fandango, Roku. So anywhere that you can get your hand on it, I'm here for it. If we can do a screening at a school to inspire kids that want to be in the creative field, to inspire kids that just want to engage with the community, like whatever it is, I'm always open to it. Anytime,
I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold you to that, yes. Because I think that a lot of the work you do will be great to show our kiddies, the kiddies that I work with. Like, they really would love that. So I'm going to hold you to that, yes. Yeah. All right, so The Burden of 9 Lives has been called a gritty, character-driven journey. what inspired the story of Jimmy Diaz, and what do you hope audiences take away from this journey?
So that's my favorite question so far because
Yes.
it goes almost counter everything I said. So, so like we're all doing this for work, right? Like this
Right.
is our livelihood, this is business. And at the end of the day, you gotta every now and then make effective business decisions. So when I was sitting with my team, we were kind of going through the stuff that we'd done so far. And I was like, we kind of need that like simple, generic action film that is a hood drama, just something to put us in like the general audience space before we convince people of the other stuff they should be watching.
Right.
Right. So that's what Burden was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like a very simple, action-packed, just like drugs, money, go.
Right.
And then this is part of like where I realized like, no, we just focus on emotional storytelling. I focus on
Yeah.
emotional storytelling. Because when we showed the film to a couple of test audiences after it was done, even when we was going through the script, it was like, oh, this is not just an action, gritty, straightforward. Like there's a romance story
Yes.
here. There's stories around how we deal with trauma, how we deal with revenge, what's appropriate in the city, even going into the police side, right? Like how do police decide which criminals to chase after and which they
Right.
don't, based on the impact it will have to the community, like based on what they feel will be safer or not safer. So it ended up being another one of those of just kind of like, we got a cool introspective look into all of these different types of people, right? Like the only place in that looking back on it, if the intention would have been more character heavy, I think Ashley did an incredible job bringing this character
Okay.
to life. But I would have wrote some more stuff for Pauline to kind of show more of the psychological question of like, oh, what is it with women that always chase bad boys? Like this dude was just dying in your
Right.
hospital bed. Like, what are we doing here?
Right. Why do we chase the bad
What is
boys?
it? What is
Ladies,
it?
why
Like, what's
do
going
we?
on?
I want you guys to answer that. Why do we chase the bad boys, ladies? And definitely tune in and watch that film because we need those questions answered.
Those questions
Okay?
answered.
It's like we love this emotional turmoil. Boy,
The more trauma, the better.
I mean, I don't know if the better, but the spicier, right? The spicier. I think that's
Right,
what it
better
is. We
selected,
like
better
spice in our
selected.
life.
That's great.
Oh goodness! But how do you deal with like drama, like internal emotional stress and drama? Like what kind of like what advice would you give those who are dealing with like overwhelming stress and a lot of healing that they have to do?
The first one is the most cliche of them all, but it's open up. Like you got to find somewhere or someone you feel safe talking to. I'm a very big battler of the nonsense gender wars online, where it feels like every side is just kind of saying bad stuff about the other.
Yes.
And so in this particular vein, I'm gonna say like, yes, I've also had my own experiences where you open up to the wrong woman, but like you can't be afraid to opening up to a woman. Like open up to
Right.
somebody. There's gonna be somebody out there that cares enough to hear you and hopefully help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes that help isn't anything actually tangible. Like sometimes
Right.
helping is just sitting there listening. You know, sometimes helping is actually being like, yo, let's go grab a drink, let's go hang out, let's go do something that just for a moment takes your mind off of this, because right now I got nothing to give you to help. Like,
Right.
you know, and we can't expect everybody in our lives to be therapists. Like go to
Right.
therapy. Those people are
Yeah.
trained to do that. Your friend is not trained to deal with everything you're going through while they're dealing with whatever they're going through.
I agree with that. I definitely therapy, guys. Definitely look into therapy. Therapy is good for you because it's also like an unbiased person that's listening, you know, because I mean, our friends and family are there for us. But if, let's say you are dealing, you know, you're in a relationship that can be kind of toxic, the first thing they're going to immediately tell you to do is like leave or like crash out or you know something like that. So it's like talking to someone that has like an unbiased opinion is extremely important, and they are certified and licensed to do that. So they're going to make you go deeper to places
Exactly.
where you didn't even know that all of this stemmed from. So that's
And
very great
very
advice.
importantly,
Yes.
they're gonna help you take accountability.
Yes,
Because your friends are
accountability.
not, right? Like
Yes.
especially your close friends. Like your close friends depends on the relationship you have, but like your closest friends will hold you accountable to an extent.
Yeah.
Right? But they're never gonna full on tell you like, no, you were wrong in this situation. Everything you're doing is wrong, and the person you're dealing with deserves better.
Right.
than what you're doing right now, right? Like your
Yes.
friend isn't going to say that. Your friend is going to be like, yeah, nah, you probably could do better, but they shouldn't have yelled at you.
Right.
Like there's always going to be the
That's so
but,
true.
you know, and that's where seeing someone who's a professional who's, for lack of a better term, doesn't actually care,
Yeah.
is going to be able to give you the care you need because they're not as connected or committed to the situation.
Right.
Also, on a whole other note, don't put your friends in that situation. Like you
Right.
talking bad about your partner, and then next week you want them to
Yes.
sit across them from dinner like everything is
Oh,
fine.
that
What are
is-
we doing to each other?
yes,
Like
that is
you're building
awful.
trauma in your friend now. Like
Yes. That is so true. That is so true. And that is something that I've had to think about in my life as well, because, and that's probably a part of the reason why a lot of the times I'm very reserved about my private life, because I'm like, let me just figure it out before I open my mouth and say
Right.
something. And then I have, everyone here a part of this whole celebration when I was just, trashing the guy, So,
exactly. Like now we're celebrating this guy's birthday. Just last week you said he was leaving them and all these negative things. And especially,
Exactly.
and we really got to be careful about the way we talk about people. I
Oh,
think that that's
yes.
one thing
Oh,
that
yes.
the internet has
Absolutely.
really changed our perspective on. Our tongues are a lot looser now. We're a lot
Yes.
more willing to say some
And now we have a
vile
lot
or
more
mean
outlets, which is
things.
horrible.
Right. and those same outlets become places for support because
Yeah.
instead of people
Yeah.
telling you might have been wrong in that situation, like
Yeah.
burn them down.
Right. Right. Now, let me ask you this. So, women, we're all for self-care, self-love. We have a lot of women empowerment. We're pouring into each other. And it makes me always think about the male community because a lot of times you guys don't have those safe spaces where you can be vulnerable and you can talk about your feelings and what you've been through. And something that I've learned, in my more adult, mature age and dating is that men really hold their feelings to themselves and hold them to a high regard. So you guys have very little tolerance and patience for certain things as opposed to women. So talk to me a little bit about that.
So first, I want to say, I think it's a little bit of a myth that men don't have safe spaces.
Okay.
I think it's just the way we operate in our safe spaces doesn't make sense to women.
Okay.
Right, and vice versa, right? The way women operate in their safe space doesn't always make sense to men
Right.
either. So from the men perspective, it's, right, our safe spaces are places of camaraderie, right? Which may not actually deal with the problem we're having, but they give us what we're like. So as crazy as it sounds, like, let your man play video games with his boy online.
Right.
Like that is his safe space. That's where we get to say what we want, do what we want, act how we want, let our tactical brains work, our survival instincts kick, all these things that we don't do anymore from our caveman brains get to be exercised there, right? When I go to the MMA gym, same thing, right? Like when you play sports, same thing. It's like all of these spaces where we don't clear our minds by over focusing on the problem and breaking down around it. We clear our minds by getting away from it and then coming back to it with a different perspective when I'm not emotional.
Right.
And to become unemotional, I gotta go do something that's not emotional. Let me go play basketball with the guys. Let me go play cards. Let
Right.
me go
Relieve
hang out.
some stress.
Right, because I'm detaching from the problem.
Right.
That's how men deal with things, right? We detach, then come back, and hopefully we can solve it. Right? And
Right.
every time we walk away, we have a different realization. Like, okay, we failed that time, but when I come back, I know that didn't work. I'll try this. Right? Women have a tendency, and I grew up around a lot of women. That's why I have so many perspectives on it. They have a tendency you guys group together and just talk.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you guys will talk and nothing will actually get solved. You
Right.
just keep talking.
Right.
And it works. Like,
Yeah.
that's what helps you, because when you
Right.
get back to your man, you don't have all those things to say anymore. Now
Right.
you know the things you want to say because you said all the junky stuff already.
Right. That's very true.
And so I think it's just we operate very differently.
Yeah, and I think the detachment part that you mentioned is on point.
Yeah, like your man's gonna
you
walk away
close
from you in
off.
an argument.
Yeah,
He's not
you guys
walking away 'cause he
close
doesn't
off.
care.
Yeah, right.
He's walking away because he knows at this point he's not
Yes.
thinking straight. He's gonna say something he's gonna have to
Yes.
deal with again later.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and then we're not good at emotion, so we don't say, "Hey, I need to walk away because I'm angry." We
Yeah.
just walk away.
Right.
And that's-
Okay. Well, thank you. Keep pouring all of that and keep shining the
Yeah,
light
stop
on.
fighting with each other online and talk to each other in real life,
Yes.
yo.
In real life, talk to each other, guys. Yes, stop fighting online. And then, we see all the celebrities do it, so that doesn't help. So it's all of our younger generation, they're all getting at each other online. Guys, stop it. save some of it for your personal time, your personal space, because a lot of times they could resolve these issues if they just took the time to talk to each other, you know? So let's continue to push that.
Offset stopped cheating and you would have been fine. We wouldn't be dealing with all this stuff in public. You feel me?
Period. And you wouldn't have to be jealous now. Like you started it.
Yeah, it's a bad place to be. You know?
Yeah. Oh, goodness. All right. Well, let's go back to film. But this was great. This was great. Yes, this was great. I definitely want to bring you back to talk more about relationship-y stuff because I love to get male perspective on you know, emotions and things like that. But you've written over 24 screenplays and worked on numerous feature films. A lot. I didn't mention many, but you have. How do you stay creatively fueled and avoid the burnout in such a demanding industry?
Oh my God, you guys are gonna hate my answer. Okay, so my answer is not gonna be fun for the traditional creatives or for the really, really, really passionate filmmaker.
Okay.
This is my job, right? So like the same way someone working at like Bank of America corporate clocks out and then they're done.
Yeah.
Like that's how I live.
Oh.
So like I work every day.
Yes.
I wake up every day around 5 o'clock. I'm working by 7, the latest. And by 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I'm done. That's it. Any conversation I have around film after that shouldn't be taken serious. Like, it should be understood. Like I'm off the clock.
Yes.
This is just chatting and having fun. Unless I'm at a networking event, then it's like intentionally build out. But then I just take those 3 hours I'm gonna spend from 7 to 10 at somebody's event. I'm not gonna be working from 7 to 4 during the day because I'm gonna take that time. So I'm very, very big on like separate work from your hobbies, right? And if your hobby is film, then it's even harder because now you have to separate when you're doing it for work from when you're doing it as a hobby.
Right.
And that's the big thing. So for me, like, my hobbies are video games. My hobbies are watching UFC fights and watching MMA, which even some of that I've turned a little bit into work. My hobbies are baseball. My hobbies are card collecting. My hobbies, like comic books, like all of the stuff that I'll incorporate it into my work and into my film stuff. But for the most part, if I'm not working, I don't have to think about film work. Right, so that gives me the creative freedom to maybe I will be like maybe from this conversation I'm not planning to do anything film-wise, but I walk outside and I'm like, that would actually be a really interesting script. Like, and now I have something that I'm going to work on, and that's how it comes to play. Where I make a whole list of things I'm going to get done in a day, and if it doesn't get done, cool. The rest of it goes to tomorrow.
Right.
I'm not working past 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Whatever time I designate as the end of my workday is the end of the workday.
Right. Guys, that's a gem. Take it, because I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and y'all know we talk about burnout all the time because entrepreneurship.
Y'all working 30 zillion hours a week. Breathe, bro.
Breathe. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yes. We as full-time entrepreneurs, we know that we are betting on ourselves. So we know that our bread and butter is going to come from ourselves and the effort and, you know, that we put into our projects and our businesses and what we're working on. However, I think that the most creativity, like you said, and the most refreshed state of mind and train of thought comes from when you get rest. You know, so definitely make sure that you are not working past a certain time and you're taking that time to rest, because like Vega said, you could be resting, but at the same time ideas may be popping up in your head because you're not so stressed and still diving into your projects. So definitely make sure you do that. That's self-care too. Self-care.
Absolutely.
Because burnout is real.
Even to the point of like I recently realized this last trip that I took to LA, on the way back, I was like, you know what? Because I've always said to people, I don't like LA. I don't like going to LA. I don't enjoy it, right? And on this recent trip back, I was like, it's not that I don't like LA. It's that I've never gone to LA for vacation. I only go to LA for work. I only show up to work. People don't love when they work all the time.
Right.
So every time I come here, it's just work stuff.
Yeah.
I need to plan a trip where I just go to LA, walk the boulevard, and have no work to do.
Yeah.
Because maybe it'll feel different.
Right.
So now I'm like, I don't say I don't like LA anymore. Now I'm just like, I haven't really had a chance to experience, like I've worked in LA a ton of times.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to actually just be in LA.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that'll be different for me.
That's true. That's true.
And it's the same thing for everything in life. It's like if you're working super hard on a project, you're gonna start getting tired of it.
Yeah.
Because you're working on it.
Right.
That's it.
Do you
It's just
do you
that.
meditate? Do you jog? Meditate?
I don't jog. I don't like running.
Really?
Yeah, that was the only part of me as an athlete that was never going to work. Is I don't like running.
I love running. I love running. Running
like
is
running.
good for me. Okay. Do you
I like
meditate?
meditating. I
Oh,
like
nice.
reading.
Okay.
I read a lot. I like stretching. That's actually become a bigger part of my life than I thought it was
Yeah.
going to be. Like I've even like looked into signing up for like hot yoga and stuff like that.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, that's those are the kind of the big focuses, just like stretching.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay. Well, you're deeply committed to mentoring other filmmakers and advocating for Latino voices. Thank you for
Yes.
that. What's the biggest barrier you see for upcoming Latino creators, and how can the industry do better?
Nothing in the industry has changed. Everyone keeps pretending it's changed. And damn, I said I wasn't going to do this because it's going to put me at risk, but it's cool. So we
You
all
gotta be fearless here.
We all talk about gatekeepers,
Yes.
right? And we all address it when it's actively being presented in a negative way, when someone's actively shutting the gate, right? We don't talk about it enough when the person's just not opening it, right? And unfortunately, like in the Latino community, there are a lot of people who are just not opening the door.
Oh, wow.
Right? And we can't really talk about it because they've positioned themselves in such a place of like value and superiority that you think if we talk about the fact that they're not actually opening doors for anybody, then they're going to definitely shut the door on me, right? So they get to keep being that presence, that person
Right.
that's not, they say they're doing stuff, but what if you really look at the last 7, 8 years of their work, what have they actually done, right? And then you start realizing, oh, the only things they've actually done have brought attention to their name.
Right.
It's not stuff that brings attention to other people.
Exactly.
And one of the biggest areas that stressed me out was a couple years back, I went to a panel and there was a bunch of Latinos on the panel talking about the ways to get into the industry and all the stuff they're doing to change stuff. And one thing that's never changed and needs to change drastically is the way that film pipelines work, right? For you to make a movie, unless you make it by yourself, which the industry has evolved because of technology, so now you can just wake up, go out and make your own movie. But before, if you wanted to, or even still, if you want to get a studio project, you have to send that script over to somebody who's gonna read it.
Right.
Problem is, there isn't a major studio right now that accepts unsolicited emails. So you gotta come from somebody who's representing
Who
you.
knows,
right? So as
right.
much as they say they want all of the stories, the unique stories, they want all the voices, they're still going to the same talent agencies
Right.
who are not saying that, who are not filling their roster with Latinos or Black or Asian voices. They just have a bunch of standard white voices. And those are the people you're getting stories from. So if that's your pipeline, you're never gonna fix the problem,
Right.
right? And I addressed this when they were on stage. I was like, so
Yeah.
how do we address that piece, right? Because
Yeah.
right now, Latinos are represented
Yeah.
by agents who have this
Yeah.
access less than 1%.
This is an interesting conversation, and I want to bring you back so we can finish this because we're
Yeah,
actually
'cause
running out of time.
You're getting deep in this one.
Yes, but I love this. Let everybody know where they can follow you, and we are
yeah.
going to have part 2 for sure.
I'm down,
Real
I'm
quick,
down,
you
I'm
have
down.
10 seconds.
At What Up Vega, What Up Vega, pretty much anything. If you just look up, I'm at the point where you could Google me, which is super exciting. So I'm gonna take that pride. Vega Montanez, Google it, baby.
I love that. All right, so everybody follow Vega at What Up Vega on all platforms. Make sure you guys are catching all the episodes from Sit Fearlessly. I'm your girl, Sue Fearless, and we'll be back next time. Thank you for watching, guys.